Hi everyone, welcome back to again one of my YouTube channels and on Facebook. To the front of you, I have sitting here exactly for telling some specific part of English speaking, because in my each video I am coming to tell, and even in this video I am going to tell to you some most punchy way about of any parts of English. And I think the friend and the students who will listen of that completely part of that content of this video, which I am going to have to you about of that, if you'll go to exactly care itinerary, then I think you will feel to very comfort the back for understanding and the back for speaking of anything else. If you will care about of that whole parts in English to English, then really I am telling to you, even or English, it will become very tremendous. While speaking, there will not come of any what muddling point, there will not come like of any what hugger mugger point, and you will speak exactly well. Otherwise, if you'll not live in concentrate mind, if you'll not keep up any good idea inside of the mind, and if you want to speak suddenly the front of anyone, then really at that time some suspension words, some irritants words that will become on your tongue, and you will feel exactly at that time, my gods, how my speaking is coming out like that meter, it will start to come in all of your mind. So I'm telling you, please, you exactly live in very mindful whole time the back for speaking. If you live exactly in headful, really you will be able to talk to any kinds of the things from easily way. And if you will live exactly in concentrate mind, then really whole parts of the point you will be able to deal exactly from so instantly. And if you not live exactly in good mind, and if you want to speak to any kinds of the thing, then our speaking will not be like of groovy way. So I just say to you, my all friends, please you come exactly in very excellent mind, and you try to listen of that completely point which I am going to have to you. That point about all of you have to care. Okay, let me come on the point, which point about I am going to share to you. That point about you all friends, please go to listen mindfully, and that point about you all my dear friends have to follow while speaking. What is that? Yes, while speaking, do you get of any hustle? Do you get of any nuisance the back for talking? Of course. Why do you get of any hustle the back for speaking? About of that, I am going to tell to you. When you start to speak of any kinds of the matter, at that time, I think you start to feel to yourself that I am feeling some lack of what words, lack of sentences, lack of content, lack of idea. Like that matter, I think it start to come in all of your minds while speaking. If like this situation it is going while speaking in all of your life, then how will you overwhelm, means how will you overcome from that kinds of the circumstance, from that kinds of the situation? About of that, you all friends will have to care. If you'll care of that point, then really you will be able to talk instantly of any kinds of the matter in English to English. And if you will not follow up that points, then really you will be medal. Then what is that points? I am going to tell to you. If you are thinking of any kinds of the matter exactly mindfully, about of that points, you will have to keep exactly invoking inside of the mind. If you keep exactly invoking of that whole parts of the thing exactly inside of the mind, then automatically that all sentences and that all words, it will start to come spontaneously on your tongue, and you will be able to talk to any kinds of the sentences simultaneously. And if you not keep up that kinds of the sentences on tongue, then really that all kinds of the sentences it will be muddled while speaking, and exactly you will be discouraged. So my all dear friends, when you speak of anything else at that moment, you will have to go to think to yourself, what am I going to speak, and what I have to speak, what I have not to speak. About of that matter, you will have to ruminate before speaking. If you will exactly dwell of that kinds of the matter inside of this mind, then all those kinds of the matter it will have one or right tongue. And when you will speak of that kinds of the point, automatically that will be spoken by you, and that all sentences will come out disposing, that all sentences will come out exactly like of titivating. And if you will not be able to care of that, then all those sentences it will not be titivated by you while speaking. So my all friends, which points about I have told of you that you get, and that you exactly follow, and after following that you see to speaking. as I keep on giving every day a spoken class the front of the student, and as many students who comes to me for taking the class, many of the students these kinds of the idea, these kinds of the point I keep on sharing, and after sharing that I say of those students, you please see to speaking how you are able to speak, how you aren't able to speak about of that points I keep on sharing. So I'm telling you, if you are speaking, then please you take care. That means what points I have, what points I haven't inside of the memory about of that you try to search out. And if you think to yourself, that means I have spoken some sentences, and from that sentences I have been exactly of any what person, any servant, any like of a scholar, then you do not think such kinds of the matter. If you think like this matter about of exactly ourselves, means I have been exactly very great gallant the back for speaking of anything, then it is your wrong thinking. Do not think such kinds of the matter. Means I am very all-rounder. Understanding? I have lots of what capacity. I have lots of what patience. The back for exposing of any kinds of the matter. It's in English to English. You will have to keep up that courage. I'm not telling that you do not keep patience. You keep patience because everything's it is done with our patience. If I will not have patience, then really we will not be able to deal of any kinds of the thing exactly well, and we will not be able to speak decently. So I am telling you, first of all, you will have to keep exactly what great patience. After that, you will have to speak, but you will not have to exactly fly into the air. Means our thinking should not have like of any what blowing. Understand? As any airs you see of that, as airs blows, it blows at that time just we start to feel to ourselves, that means we are exactly carrying of that air, but we are not looking of that air. We can exactly what realize, we can exactly feel of that air. Just like that, you will have to filter yourself. That means you will not have to show the front of anyone's exactly like a haughtiness, understanding. And if you will gasconate to anyone, if you will swag to anyone, if you will exactly you will start to discuss to any kinds of the matters the front of anyone, and if you will swash to anyone, says I have lots of capacity, I have lots of English sentences, I have lots of the word, such kinds of the matter, if you will contribute the front of anyone, and at that time if you will speak of any kinds of the matter inciting, and if you will not be able to talk instantly the front of anyone else, then really you will be exactly demoralized. So I am telling to you, do not gasconate to anyone, you do not swash to anyone, exactly you keep up for patience, and after keeping patience you will have to go to deal of that all kinds of the matter from easily way. That point about I have told for rectifying of for English speaking part, and something more advanced points just I am going to tell to you, that is exactly punchy, that is exactly important part, that is very specific part for our life. About of that I am going to tell to you. As now I have any sentences, and that sentences about I have to speak very instantly, very smartly. Then how can I talk of that all sentences very smartly? About of that I am going to tell. Now I have a yes sentence like of that, means I have a in my hands a wiper, and by that wiper I have to wipe the board, and before wiping I will have to think of that, means how shall I use of this wiper on the board. About of that if I will consider before using, then really we will be able to exactly obliterate of that board forms instantly way. And if I will not keep up that idea inside of the mind, means how shall I wipe up this board, or how I will rub up that board exactly on the board, then really we will have to rub one and one. So I am telling you, when you speak of any kinds of the matter, at that time you do not consider, you do not think, means I will be muddled. If you will think such kinds of the matter, means I have lack of such, patience, I have lack of what craze, like that matter. If it will come, it will exactly will be involved in the mind, then really you will not be able to talk to well. So I just say to you, please, you do not think such kinds of the matter. Exactly, you think of that, yes, I can do everything. If you think like that matter, you will be able to do, because you are knowing already that nothing it is impossible in this world. If you will be feared from any difficulty, then really you will not be able to get of any uh, great outcome in your life. That's why there is called upon educational quotation about of that I am going to have to you. मुश्किलों से भागना आसान होती है, जिंदगी का हर एक काम इम्तिहान होती है, डरने वाले को कुछ नहीं मिलती, इस दुनिया से लड़ने वाले के कदमों में जहान होती है. सो माई ऑल डियर फ्रेंड्स, माई ऑल डियर स्टूडेंट, यू विल हैव टू face with that difficulty, which is your what perturbance, the front of that disturbance, from front of that difficulties, you will have to confront one and on. If you will be confronting, then sure that will be exactly vanished from your life. And if you will not confront from that kinds of the circumstance, from that kinds of difficulties, then really it will be acquiring forever in all of your lives. So I am telling you, please, you try to abolish of that kinds of the point which is disturbing of our minds on and on while speaking, that you exactly keep distance from the mind. If you will keep distance, then really you will be able to deal, you will be able to manage all those kinds of the thing from exactly easily way. And if you will not care of that kinds of the point, then really that will be having like a hugger mugger one and one in all of your lives. So I just say to you, please take at that point. And now I'm going to have some more points. Suppose that I have a copy, and I have a copy, and that copy about I will have to consider some. Okay, before suppose that now when I sit for reading at that time, first of all we exactly consider, exactly we think what I have to read, what I have not to read, like that matter. First of all we have to think just like that. I am telling you, when you start to speak of any kinds of the matter, at that time, that topic about first time you think what I have to speak, what point about I have to anyone about of that point. First of all, you consider inside of the mind. After that, you start to talk one that automatically all of the sentences it will be assimilated in all of your mind, and from easily way you will be able to speak. You will be able to negotiate with any person from easily way. If that matter, you will keep care before speaking, then really all of the sentences that will be spoken by you well. I think my all dear friends, you may have understood of that concept, which concept about I have exactly told of you, exactly I have delivered the front of you about of that. I think you definitely may have received, and definitely you have got of that. I'm telling to you, third point, suppose that the front of you can see of that there is hanging LED, means that TV. Before watching of any kinds of the thing, first of all we exactly ruminate. Now which kinds of the point I have to watch? Before watching, exactly we make plan which kinds of the movie, which kinds of the point, which kinds of the things I have to bring up one data TV. After that we switch one data TV, and exactly we start to search what have I to watch. When according of our desire points that is come on the screen, then really we are able to watch of that from easily way. And if that doesn't comes on the TV screen, then exactly we start to feel like of bore and like of any hugger mugger, and we don't like to watch of that points which I have not desired to watch. Just like that I am telling you, if you have desire, then that desire exactly you keep on the mind and the front of whole tongue, that the front of whole mind it should be. If you keep up that desire the front of the mind, then really it will be done from easily way. Yes, as many points I have discussed about of that whole, I think you all my friends may have been understood throughout, and I hope you all friends will be following which I have said to you. If you may have liked of this video, then once you like, subscribe, and do not forget to share. Again, I will visit in my next video. Till ends. Thank you. Bye bye. Nice.